How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Following the trade of Marc Gasol, the Lakers now have 13 guaranteed contracts on their roster, with room for 2 more. But with Gasol now gone, what might they be planning to do next? We'll talk about that and more in today's video. But to quickly review the trade, the Lakers trade Marc Gasol, a future second round pick, and cash to Memphis for the rights to Wang Zelin in return. And yeah, I have no idea if I pronounced that name correctly, but while you might have initially looked at the trade and thought, why would they make that trade? Well, let me briefly explain to you why it actually benefits them. For one, they saved about $10 million by trading him, which is taken away from their luxury tax total. With that, by not receiving a guaranteed contract player in return for him, they lowered their total roster to 13 players once again, which will allow them to add 2 additional players. And between saving money and getting to bring in a different player who fits their team better, that is without a doubt a win for them. It gives them more flexibility both financially and with their actual roster, and it gave Gasol the ability to choose wherever he wants to play next. Because after the trade is completed, he will be waived by Memphis. That will give him the ability to sign with any NBA team that is looking to add more veteran depth at the 5 or to remain in Spain. Either way, he has the option to do whatever he wants, and he is deserving of that. And in regards to the actual trade, it was no secret that Gasol and the Lakers have not been on the same page for a while now. Their initial problems go all the way back to last year when they added Andre Drummond, which relegated Gasol to a limited bench role. And after they were quick to re-add Dwight Howard to their team, along with reportedly having a commitment from Anthony Davis to play more at the 5, it seemed like they were moving on from the idea of relying on Gasol to play for them this year. But the real nail in the coffin here was the addition of Deandre Jordan, because while Gasol wants to be part of a contending team, he clearly wants to play too. That would not have been a real possibility anymore though. Between AD, Howard, and Jordan, there would have been very few, if any, minutes remaining for him. And with training camp beginning in only a few weeks, it was a near guarantee that he would be moved by then. They will benefit by entering training camp with every player on their team actually planning to be a part of their team for the entire year. And in order for that to have happened, Gasol needed to be moved by training camp, and by trading him for no player under a guaranteed contract in return, they opened up an additional spot on their team. And by doing that, they opened up the question of who might they be looking to fill it with. Well, that's a difficult question to answer, but there are a few players that I would like to see them go after, and although they traded away a center, I do not believe their next free agent addition needs to be a big. With them already having Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, and now Deandre Jordan, who will be spending time at the 5, they don't really have much room remaining for another big. They've tried to recreate their 2019-2020 rotation with AD, Howard, and McGee, and knowing how that worked, there will not be any minutes remaining after that. Which rules out the options that many people will probably mention, like DeMarcus Cousins, Bismack Biyombo, or any other free agent big who would want to play minutes for them. I don't see any of them being a real option anymore, and rather, I think they will look to target another forward. And whether that will happen within a week or take a little more time, I do believe that will be the position that they look to target next. They could use a little more depth at both small and power forward, and they likely will be looking for that candidate by training camp. And speaking of training camp, they are able to add 2 more players to their training camp roster. If you do not know the difference between a 15-man roster and a training camp roster, the only real change is with a training camp roster being allowed 20 total players. They currently have 17 players on their training camp roster with their 2-way contracts of Joel Ayayi and Austin Reeves, and then they officially invited Mac McClung and Shawnee Brown, which would leave them with 3 more available invites. And with a few quality and young free agents available yet, they could have the opportunity to get a better look at some young talent. Young players I mentioned in prior videos that are still available include DJ Wilson, Caleb Martin, Garrison Matthews, and more. Or if they wanted to go a different route, they could also pick a player or 2 from their summer league team that they're already familiar with. Many of you know that I'm a fan of Trevelin Queen, who had a very good showing with them during summer league. Queen is a very athletic wing player who has good height and length for a small forward. He proved capable of defending both smaller, quicker players and bigger wing players during summer league. He puts forth the effort needed to be a good defender, and he has all the tools to become a 3-and-D player in the NBA. And in my opinion, he should have already received a training camp invite from them. I would like to think that he will become one of their final invites, but that is yet to be seen. But if they enter training camp without having added more depth to their team at small forward, Trevelyan Queen would be a no-brainer to invite. Queen and Chaundee Brown could realistically battle it out to be their final small forward. Like I mentioned before, Chaundee Brown is already invited to training camp, and he would not be a bad option for that final spot either. While Brown is a bit shorter and not as athletic compared to Trevelyan Queen, he is more physical. He is more of a built and low to the ground kind of player compared to Queen. He relies more on toughness and physicality to make his mark on defense, and while they are quite different, they both have NBA potential. Both are capable of attaining the label of a 3-and-D player and would provide them with more youth too. Trevelyan Queen is only 24 years old and Chaundee Brown is only 22 years old, and even if either one does not actually make the 15-man roster, it would benefit the Lakers to get a better look at their game during training camp. But aside from training camp invites, who could they look to target right now? Well, the popular and probably most likely currently available option would have to be James Ennis. I know you've all heard me mention him countless times, but it's more than only me talking about him now too. And he has actually been linked to their team in multiple ways already. It was only a couple of days ago that a rumor came out about the Lakers reportedly having interest in him, and when you pair that with his activity on social media regarding the Lakers, it's not hard to put 2 and 2 together. He seems to be more than willing to join their team, and it may only be a matter of time before it happens. The Lakers clearly have a need for one more bigger wing player, and there is no better proven option remaining than Ennis. He has that 3-and-D label and would likely fit very well on their team. He is a veteran player who is willing to play in whatever role given to him, but at the same time, he is not too old at only 31 years old and is arguably in the prime of his career. And at the end of the day, it would seem to be a perfect match. With Ennis being very eager to join a team, I would not doubt if he were to be picked up relatively quickly, and although I believe it will likely be by the Lakers, I do not think Ennis will remain available for much longer. In conclusion though, trading Gasol provided them with a lot of options. They now have another opening on their team, which I guarantee will be filled by the end of training camp. Whether that is with a guy like James Ennis or somebody different, that is yet to be seen, but it won't be vacant for much longer. And in regards to their 15th and final spot, that will likely remain open for the buyout market. They may temporarily fill it with a training camp player, but expect them to keep a spot open for the eventual possibility of adding another player through the buyout market. But with that will conclude my thoughts on what I believe is next for the Lakers. And what do you guys think? Who do you think they'll look to add to their team after trading Gasol? Let me know your thoughts by commenting down below and we can talk about it there. That will do it for this video though. Thank you to everyone who took the time to watch until the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please remember to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications to get notified right away when I drop a new video. And if you want to stay up to date on all my immediate thoughts and moves around the NBA, be sure to follow me on Twitter too. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.